place to have a coffee, David. It's one of those places that I've always wanted to come to, and I have to thank you for bringing me here.
It is a pretty special place, isn't it? Siena. But you know, I mean, in its own right, very special. But for us, Colin, most special because of memories from San Remo rallies through the 80s, probably into the early 90s, just over our shoulder there, in that central piazza, Piazza del
Campo.
Piazza del Campo. Group B cars everywhere, you know, the likes of Michel Mouton, Ari Vatanen, all parked there for probably maybe an overnight halt, not a service, definitely a regroup, but yeah, incredible, just a beautiful place on the road, having come from San Remo over the top of Italy into Toscana, done some stages around here, just incredible.
Back in the day when the San Remo rally was a gravel rally, full gravel rally back in those days.
No, never a full gravel rally.
Oh.
Because they started in San Remo, did some tarmac, then came through overnight, sometimes into Tuscany, Toscana here, did some gravel here, then back over to San Remo for the finale on tarmac. So always a mixed surface event, but just amazing stages around here.
It's wonderful, and it's wonderful history here. But David, a bit of a road trip for us this morning that was quite pleasant. We've come up from Fuji. Is that how you say it? Fuji. Listen, you know, rallying was back obviously at the weekend, first round of the ERC. What did you make of it? It was rallying, slightly different, but it was rallying. What did you make of the effort for Rally di Roma Capitale?
You absolutely have to take your cap off, your hat off to these people. No, don't. Leave it, keep it on, Cole. But a tremendous effort. You know, we talked to Bruno Di Pianta, the guy, one of the people behind this event, and he said since he came home from Mexico in March, they've been working towards this moment. It's huge, you know, they have put so much effort in. We saw, you know, on a fundamental level, there were no people in the service park, no spectators.
They did very well, didn't they?
They did
keeping
brilliantly.
The service park purely down to essential personnel.
Exactly, and in terms of, you know, every time we went into service, your temperature was checked. The actual...
And you were checked in, we all had our own identity, didn't we, that had to be scanned and checked, so they knew who was in the service park, they knew when you came out the service park.
And the bureaucratic process before the event began, you know, the form filling that you had to go through, quite testing at times, but actually when you got there, you understood it completely. It's the only way that rally could run, and it ran superbly. There were some organisation, no, there weren't any organisational issues. There was a sporting issue on the Saturday morning with those two accidents. The team, the organisers did tremendously well. They could have stopped it, and we thought, if we're honest, we thought they should have stopped it. They kept it running, and everybody got through. You know, it was a difficult rally to run, but they did a fantastic job.
I think they did. What about notable performances then over the weekend, David? I think there were certainly 2 or 3 standout performances.
The one thing, it was a fantastically organised event. It was brilliant. They did that. We've covered that. The one thing I was a little disappointed in is it never caught fire.
You know why that was? You just mentioned it. The Saturday morning, the first 2 stages, 2 of our favourites were out. Crugnola, who was probably the pre-event favourite, Adrian and Formo both out. So. You know,
that's true. We lost
a fair bit of competition.
And you know, you've got to again take your hat off to Alexey Lukyanuk, who did a sensational job. You know, he's been, it's fair to say, quite erratic over the years. He seems, can we say, he's turned a corner after one event? He turned in a very measured.
It was measured. It was absolutely measured. You know, he set the pace on the Saturday, and then he just controlled it on the Sunday. Didn't win stages on the Sunday, controlled it the whole way through.
You know, there was never a real scrap between him and Giandomenico Basso. The number one standout for me would have to be Oliver Solberg, 3rd place, running in 3rd place from stage 5 onwards. Not just the speed to get there, but the ability to maintain and to be consistent on, you know, the roads. Everybody talked about those first stages on the Saturday, how narrow they are, how, you know, just difficult, really, really hard stages to make notes on, and just he took it all in his stride. And you know, we've seen some nonsense on social media about. This isn't his first tarmac rally in Monte Carlo. We talked to Sordo, to Craig Breen, and said, you know, is Monte a tarmac rally? No, it's not. It's not. It's run on a similar looking surface, but the setup of the car is so different. And you know, for me, Oliver, we talked to Petter last night, didn't we? And Petter said that this was Oliver's last question in his mind. You know, where is my speed on tarmac?
Yeah, right there. So I think, you know, I'd agree with you. Oliver Solberg for me was a standout performance, but I think we have to quickly mention Craig Breen, because Craig Breen was the big name, wasn't he? He's our WRC star, our podium
Craig
achiever.
Breen and MRF Tyres.
MRF Tyres. MRF Tyres, I think we have to talk about.
You know, our friend Vivek, you know, he has masterminded this project along with Fiore Brivio as well, of course. But they have put together, you know, 6 months ago, probably less than that.
They were miles away.
They were miles away.
No, they were. Had they come to this rally with those tyres they had 6 months ago, it would have been a disaster. It would have been they wouldn't have got through the first stage, I don't think. And they've gone away, they've re-engineered those tyres with the input of Brivio. Well, not with the input, at his
guidance, his direction. But you know, as well, it wasn't an easy place to come and use those tyres for the first time. Really high temperatures, mid-30s, high 30s, on some of the most abrasive roads. And they, you know, for sure, towards the end of the loop, you could see Breen's speed was tailing off a bit. The car was moving around a lot more than on the Pirellis. But you know, to come and to be quicker than the Michelins was a fantastic effort.
And obviously then we had the 2 World Rally Cars. We had 3 World Rally Cars, but the ones we were particularly watching were the Hyundais. And do you know what? Pierre-Louis Loubet, you know, Mr. Adamo talks very highly of him, but I really didn't know what to expect. My goodness me, he was impressive. It wasn't just the pace, again, it was the intelligence. It's the way he went about it. And at the end of the first day, he was leading Sordo. Yes, Sordo had a few issues, but you know what? Really impressive, and it bodes well, doesn't it?
It didn't matter that he was leading. No. What impressed me was that he got through trouble-free and he hadn't been hanging around. Again, everything we said about those stages for Solberg, first time out in a tarmac rally, to go there in a world car was tremendous. And he learned an awful lot. You know, on the first day the stages were slower. But it's wide, really. You know, in places the road was as wide as the car. But then on the Sunday, the stages were quicker, and he learnt about the aero. You know, so he came away from there with a whole stack of experience, and very, very impressive. But equally, you know, Dani is always impressive. You know, we saw on the Sunday, he'd got a little bit of work to do with the car in terms of development. He did it, and then just enjoyed his mate winning MotoGP.
Well, I think what we're going to enjoy, David, is finishing this coffee, enjoying and taking in the wonderful atmosphere here in Siena. And where are we off to next?
Where are we off to next? Where are we off to next?
San Gimignano.
Indeed, San Gimignano, via some of the classic San Remo stages.